Well, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Wild Your Garden. And in today's video you need to stick around because I'm going to be showing you a full garden tour of this absolutely incredible wildlife garden here in Derbyshire, where I have been working creating a wildlife stream, if you like. So I can't wait to bring you guys that video. But yes, I couldn't help but want to bring you a full garden tour because this one has possibly one of the best mosaics of habitats that I've seen for wildlife in my extensive 36 years on this planet. It has everything from wildflower meadow, wildlife pond, herbaceous borders, formal gardens, cottage gardens, vegetable gardens, you name it, this place has it all. So let's go and have a look now at some of the incredible features that this garden has to offer. So as we enter this garden, you can see we have the driveway, but I'm going to take you first left because this is a lovely part of the garden that I'd like you to see. A couple of collared doves on the bird feeder. I'm going to take you right back round to the front of the house because it's just delectable. Through to a very cottage style little front gate. So, and I can't even turn around without wanting to show you guys this lovely rowan tree, which is obviously very good for wildlife. Will have a lot of berries in the autumn time. It's just about coming into flower now, you can see. So that's going to be alive with insects within a matter of days by the looks of it. Then let's start on this herbaceous border on the left. So we've got one of my favourite plants here, Erysimum bowls mauve, which is part of the wallflower family, and as you can see, it is just gorgeous, absolutely delightful. This thing flowers nearly 12 months of the year, and it's certainly something that I include in nearly every wildlife garden that I create. We've got a block of lavenders here which look like hidcuts, which will be coming into flower in the next couple of weeks, I think, something like that. A few perennial poppies. And on the front of this property you can see we've got a lovely wisteria, and if I pan round, possibly an even more beautiful clematis. Then we move down this gorgeous, very quintessential, typical Yorkstone paving that you find a lot of in Derbyshire and obviously Yorkshire. We've got this beautiful plant which is yellow corydalis, I believe. I'll look it up and put a name in for you guys. Beautiful, almost like a snapdragon, and that's growing straight out of the side of this gorgeous, again, very typical of Derbyshire, dry stone wall. Nice ferns growing there. And we've got a nice little area of formal lawn. And then an enormous block of rosemary. Rosemary can get very big, but it's very good for bees. And I've seen many a butterfly using rosemary on my travels in the Mediterranean, in particular Croatia. Absolutely covered in butterflies it was. Sadly not quite the case here in the UK, but a lot of bees do like it. We've got a very well disguised telegraph pole there. A lovely little rose arch, as you can see, in this part of the garden, with a nice bit of formality with a yew hedge that is being developed there. Some more Yorkstone paving. A little planter of, I thought it was sage, but I don't think it is. Not sure actually on that one. Looks like senecio, actually, possibly. Again, more of this beautiful Yorkstone paving. Another little formal area, bird feeder not far from the hedge, which is good because it means the birds have got a chance to escape the sparrowhawk, which was in here earlier actually. He landed somewhere on the drive over there and actually ran into one of the bushes and came out with a young sparrow. So yes, sad for the sparrow, but all part of the cycle. And then a lovely mixed hedge here. We've got wild privet, hazel, hawthorn, making a lovely block of vegetation and a lovely bit of cover where the house sparrows pretty much live. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you will have seen or heard me talk about the importance of dense cover for birds, in particular house sparrows. They just absolutely love it. some beautiful steps down here, and with a bit of Alchemilla mollis, which is a lovely herbaceous perennial, not native to the UK, but a nice one. It's gorgeous when just after it's rained, it sort of holds all the water within its leaves, so it's really beautiful, that one. There's another really big block of lavender, which has gone very leggy, as they do, which mine have done in the past. More lavenders. This is a bit of a kind of a more formal area of the garden where we have kind of a link to culinary section, if you like, so a lot of herbs. And then we have this beautiful hawthorn, which is just coming into flower now, slightly later flowering, and there's something just absolutely delightful about the colour of these flowers. Normally hawthorn is a white flower, but that there is absolutely gorgeous, like scarlet pink. Wow. So a lovely little standalone tree. So it just goes to show that you can have trees. I mean, that's within 2 meters of the house, so you can have trees of this size in a garden. You can obviously keep them managed. I'm going to go through here, and then I'm going to come back round and start back at the gates. I've got the back door here, some nice paving, lovely paving. I'm glad I'm not the one that laid this slab, which is about 3.5 foot to 4 foot square. Crikey, I've laid them nearly that big in the past, but that's quite something. There's a lovely rose here, which is about to burst. It really, really is. I'm not sure which variety it is, but it's absolutely gorgeous. In fact, while I'm here, we'll go through and do this little part of the garden here. There's a nice little archway. This rose, no doubt, will, in time, once it thickens out a little bit more, provide good nesting potential for blackbirds and the like. Nice bit of formal yew planting there. And then we have this. And look at this. This little patio, I suppose, which I'm guessing by the recent addition of the box plants over there, that maybe they've been replaced or cut back. Maybe there's some box blight, but a lovely little area in here. That sort of trailing effect of the rosemary. Absolutely beautiful. I can think of worse places to sit. Little bay tree in the corner, and then a nice west facing wall filled with roses, with another archway that leads out to the drive, and a nice bit of woven hurdle fencing, probably hazel, although it could be willow actually, looking at the thickness of the stems. A really nice natural screen. Got some lemon balm there, and in this bed looks like we've got some beans. That bed we've got a rose with some geraniums, and I'm not too sure about that bed. Nice little metal structure in the middle. I'll take you around here. Look back down towards the house. There is actually a clematis on this section of trellis. Absolutely beautiful. Right, I'm going to go back to the start of the drive now, and we'll head in another direction and look at another section of this fabulous garden. So on my way back to the drive, I couldn't help but want to bring you guys this gorgeous plant, which I've never seen before. It's actually a dark leaf variety of Honesty. Now, Honesty, if you've seen my recent video on some of the best herbaceous perennials for shade, or best nectar plants for shade, it definitely featured in there, but it wasn't the sort of purple leaved variety that this one is. So I've been promised some seeds of this, of which you can see they're starting to develop, these lovely seed pods. You can just see the individual seeds in the middle of the pod. Cracking plant, honestly, really good for bees and butterflies. Right, back to the drive. We'll start on again. So I'm back at the start of the driveway now, and I couldn't go any further than this forget-me-not, which is absolutely gorgeous. There are many types of forget-me-not, and apparently I learned the other day that when you see the centre of the flowers have a little yellow ring, apparently they go yellow when they have been pollinated by a pollinating insect, which is absolutely brilliant, I think. So then the insects know which ones they can come and have a drink from. So the white ones, I believe, I'm sure I've put that the right way around. I'll have to double check, but I'm sure they turn yellow once they have been visited by an insect. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Gorgeous little plant, very good for shade. Sadly only an annual, but I love forget-me-nots. Then we move on to these gorgeous aquilesias, which are a very kind of nostalgic plant for me. They remind me of my parents' garden growing up. Mum used to grow loads and loads of these. I'm not quite sure what this is. It looks very much like Dame's violet, but the leaves are rather on the large side. The flowers are very, very similar, although it's going over now. Mine's just coming into flower down in Essex, so it's not Dame's violet, but maybe you can enlighten me. I love that. No, it's a really nice plant. So then we've got this herb border, which you've seen a little bit of. We've got a lovely thyme at the moment. Sorry guys, can't help it. Oh, what a smell. I'm sure you can imagine what that smells like. That is thyme down there. More of these beautiful aquilesias, which are just gorgeous. They really are. And then moving along, just going to show you this border before we turn right. We've got this thing here, which is absolutely brilliant. This is a native. This is salad burnet, and you can see it's just about finished flowering now, and these are the developing seeds, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. I've got a little one of these growing in my front mini wildlife garden. Obviously, if you haven't seen any of the videos I've done about my own front wildlife garden that I've been making over the last 2 or 3 months, then do go back to the homepage, check out or click on the playlist section, go to my garden and have a look at some of the videos on there. Full creational videos still to come on my 20 square metre front wildlife garden, but this isn't far off, to be honest. This is pretty good in terms of wildlife garden, and we've not even got to the best bits yet. So this is a really nice little border. It's beautiful stachys or lamb's ears, some of you may know, has the most velvety, soft leaves. They're like, well, literally lamb's ears. That's where it gets its name from. And it has a nice purple flower, this plant, in a little while. You can just see a hint of pink at the top of that. I don't think it'll be too long before this is flowering. So we've got a nice mix in here, and this is what I love to see, is borders full of plants. There's no gaps, so it's absolutely brilliant. We've got a little bit of honesty. At the back there, we've got these gorgeous aquilesias, another little erysimum, bowls mauve down there, just being visited by a red mason bee. Absolutely love it. You can see that. Red mason bees have now colonised my insect hotel in the front garden, so really, really pleased about that. And this, I've just noticed today, well, these are the first flowers of Nepeta. I'm not sure which Nepeta this is. I'm often talking about Nepeta catmint, as it's well known. Six Hills Giant or Kit Kat is one of the varieties I've spoken about recently in my own garden. Absolutely kind of almost bee plant bar none. It really, really is a good plant, and you can cut it back and it flowers again. It usually has a second flush, so love that plant. And then down here we've got some evening primrose, so shame I'm not around later on in the year, because that will be looking absolutely beautiful, very tall. Well, that red mason bee is on the little erysimum flower again. It's just gone. Then looks like we've got a big clump of leucanthemum, giant daisies, a bit like oxeye daisies. So very nice to see. That looks like Lychnis, I think, which is a lovely pink flower. Got a little mini campanula down there. Sound of the church bells. Look at that in the evening light. 5 o'clock, I think that is. Nice time for a tour. So, let's have a look at this right hand side of the garden. We've got these gorgeous Rosa rugosas here. or sweetbriars, some of you may know them as. Absolutely smell divine when they come out. And what's really nice to see about this garden is that alder buckthorn, which if you've been following my videos you will have known I've planted 3 of in the front of my garden, and they have been absolutely laden, or they are now laden, with the eggs of the brimstone butterfly, larval food plant, along with the common or purging buckthorn, but this is the alder buckthorn. So really pleased with the results from my own front garden. I did actually find the client an egg on this the other day, so she was very chuffed. So yeah, a nice one to see. And you can see it makes quite a nice standalone little shrubby mini tree, just about to start flowering. In fact, those are some of the first flowers. Look, quite discreet but absolutely loved by bees, alder buckthorn. So then, if we go into, I don't even know which way to go with this garden, there's that much to see. We've got a lovely white beam tree, which is absolutely gorgeous. You can see where they get their names from. When they get bigger and they have the white flower about this time of year, they're just silvery white, like a beam of white basically. So absolutely delicious. And stick around guys, because obviously in a little while I'm going to be going through the back there, which is my absolute favourite feature of this garden. So yeah, but let's have a look at this border. So apparently this is the purple and grey or silver border. So the client's trying to create a nice palette of colours in here. You can see the alliums just coming out. Alliums obviously part of the onion family, so they have that lovely like spire on top. Gorgeous flower, the allium. Again, loved by bees. Then we have kind of a sea of geraniums down here. I'm not sure quite which geranium these are, but again, they're just coming into flower. Well, actually, they've been in flower for a little while now. Another variety of alliums down there. More of this salad bonnet down the front. You can see, just absolutely loves nice gravelly, stony ground. Thrives in it. So does the Aquilegia, actually. The Aquilegias will grow almost anywhere, as most of you probably know. They'll grow in sort of really stony, almost rubbly ground. Great for that. Then we've got one of the stars of the show in a recent wildlife garden that I went to see. These gorgeous red campion, although they're never red, they're always pink. But what a plant. That was in one of my top 6 plants for shade recently, the video that I did, that I will no doubt put a link to at the end of this one. Again, we've got more Nepeta coming through there, and we've got some lesser or black knapweed growing up nicely there, which will be flowering probably around about the end of, well, middle of June, let's say, probably. And this is what I believe is dusky cranesbill. I might be wrong, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. In fact, I think the flower's slightly different, but very similar to the native dusky cranesbill we get in the UK. Absolutely love this plant. And so do the bees again. And more block of Nepetas through there. Now, which way to go? I'm going to go... Yeah, I'm going to go down through here because there is a plan. Got some red valerian, by the way. Sorry about the skip and the mess, guys. I'm obviously in the middle of creating a stream, which we'll have a little bit of a look at shortly. Yeah, red valerian down here. We've got sedum, which is autumn joy, which is really good for bees later on in the season. Bit of a late season nectar plant. And then here we have some Dame's Violet, and you can see the first flower just flowering now. Mine have been out for about a week down in Essex, but obviously where we are in Derbyshire, probably a week, 10 days behind perhaps. Quite a bit further north here than where I live down south. Here we have a really good plant for bees. It's not flowering yet, which is hedge woundwort. Now, hedge woundwort is an absolute corker of a plant. They create some almost like mauve or sort of maroon colour purple spires. Well, maroon basically, not purple. And bees absolutely go crazy for it. Really good in shade, as you can see. Lovely velvety leaf, but it absolutely stinks. If you ever walk on it, it smells like ground elder, if you know what the smell of that is. So yeah, that's not too pleasant when you're treading it, but very good for bees. So again, more Dane's Violet through here. They will do well in semi-shade, and just look at that through there. with the evening light. Absolutely gorgeous. And then we have this area, which I just love. This is kind of a nondescript area. It's not herbaceous border. It's not lawn. It's kind of meadow, I guess. But I love the way the plants kind of just sprawl into it. Really, really nice. So we've got loads of stuff in here. Things like lesser knapweed again. Loads of this ribwort plantain, which is now flowering. Which is actually a larval food plant for the Glanville fritillary. For those of you that are interested in your butterflies. Then we've got the gorgeous sort of sprigs of cow parsley just popping up through there. Keck, as it's known in Lincolnshire by the native tongue, where I grew up. Got a little bit of ragwort in the middle. That'll be great for the gatekeepers in July time. Some wild carrot in there, buttercups, oxeye daisies. A little bit of alkanet, this lovely blue flower, which can be a bit of a problem. People often say I've got clumps of this stuff, and it can create a nice big clump, but then that's just successful. And then on the left we have another bit of a mix of a border. It's another very interesting geranium, this one. It's almost got a waxy leaf. Not quite sure of the variety, but a lovely flower. As you can see, this lovely sort of pale lilac colour. More honesty there, growing away nicely. Oh look, that looks to me like a lily beetle or soldier beetle. I can never remember, I always get them muddled up. There's a lovely red beetle, look at that. Almost copper coloured. I'm going to stop messing with him now, because every time I do he drops to the middle. Be worn out. And then we have these hellebores. Look at this for a colour, guys. Have you ever seen a hellebore more beautiful than that? They are just something else, aren't they? Hellebore is obviously very good for shade. This is quite late flowering for hellebore, really. Normally they're sort of February, March time. Earlier on, this is obviously a later flowering variety, and we've got another variety here, which is again a lovely colour, sort of like a pinky green colour. Absolutely gorgeous. Then we've got a bit of a mix over here. We've got some willow herb, we've got some geranium, and then we have a bit of dogwood, good old dogwood. And here on my right, it's nice to see another older buckthorn, which is obviously being kept as a mini shrub / tree, but the brimstones won't mind, they'll be using that all the same. So now we've kind of reached almost the bottom of the garden. I want to just show you guys this absolutely magnificent pear tree, which has had the top taken out of it. I'm not sure why, but absolutely beautiful. I saw so many of these in northern France earlier on in April in full bloom, and just some of them were humming, absolutely humming with bees. And I'm really pleased because now I've got approximately, I've timed it, 15 minutes of peace while the air vent on the side of the pub has stopped. So let's get cracking with this bit. Now here is a nice little formal addition going into wild. They have got this kind of old well which has been capped off. Now God knows how they got those lumps of stone in here. That's 2 pieces, 1, 2. Yeah, they must weigh a fair bit each. Nice little sort of willow structure here. Nice little seating area. And a lovely plant here that I always forget about every year because I don't see it down in Essex. It's too dry for it, but it loves kind of damp margins and damp sort of dikes along the road sides, particularly in Yorkshire, and as far as you get further north, Scotland in particular does very well. This is Sweet Cicely, which I just love, which does smell rather sweet. very similar to cow parsley, but just almost like a more lush green. Cow parsley is a little bit more of a grey green on the leaf. And then, if I turn this way, we've got a rather nice feature. This little rill, which goes through, is run by a little pump that's in the pond, into this wildlife pond, which I don't think looks too shabby. Just gotta watch out for the alligator. Very nice pond. I didn't build this pond, but I'm informed it is teeming with frog spawn in this kind of shallow area. I do like this shallow area. Got some yellow flag iris there, lots of water mint. Good old marsh marigold, which is now finished flowering. As you can see, it's going to seed. But in the middle of this pond is absolutely full of toad tadpoles. As you can see, toad tadpoles are almost like a black colour compared to frog tadpoles, which are a little bit more browny. They seem to be a little bit more lethargic in their movements, and they shoal a bit more. And apparently they're not quite as tasty to other birds and fish and things, and newts in particular, because there are newts in this pond, but there's a very healthy population of toadpoles as well. So I think the client has worked out, and I didn't know this, that toads, or toadpoles, taste different to tadpoles, because the newts don't seem to bother them as much. Maybe you guys can confirm that. So we've got some nice plants around the margins as well. We've got some lesser pond sedge by the looks of it. We've got a few purple loosestrife just sprouting up. We've got some bog bean flowering there and there. Lovely plant, bog bean. Absolutely brilliant plant. Speaking of bog bean, I've just finished planting my front garden, guys. The pond, that is, I should say. So absolutely thrilled that I finally got that done. So full video to come on the planting of my wildlife pond in another video. Anyway, I'm going to spin back around for a moment just to show you this, because I think this is a really nice feature. This is actually a mini hedge that's been planted, and careful because it's very spiky. But this is a type of buckthorn. There's the older buckthorn. This is sea buckthorn. Very different in its appearance, as you can see. Very coastal, does well in salty conditions, but used here as a hedge, which I think looks rather good. Alongside some box hedging, you can see just down there, and that's back up to the main driveway where we just were. So, if I spin round back this way now, we're going to go around the wildlife pond, taking in the shallow cobbly beach area. This is another rill which I think works. It's not working at the moment. You've got some more Dame's Violet just flowering there. This lovely euphorbia, which is another kind of discreet flower, but absolutely gorgeous plant. And a chiff chaff in the background over there. I don't know if you can hear it. It's going to stop now, obviously. Lots of house sparrows, as we already have spoken about. Little seating area up in the corner. There's the hawthorn in full blossom. Oh, and down here is another plant that I plant around my wildlife ponds, which is part of the geum family, if you've got geums in your garden. This is water avens, which is a beautiful plant. A real favourite of bees, loves the wet condition. Does the water avens. And then this spiky beast, this looks like giant rhubarb, is part of a gunnera, which some people ask me, can I plant around a wildlife pond? And you can, if you don't want to have a pond left, because they get massive. It's away from the pond here, so it's not so bad. We've got some meadow sweet. That's the one I'm looking for there. More of these. I think this is a gunnera again, different variety. Not too sure. Anyway, nice little patch of wildflowers left there. Again, defining an area by mowing a path through it. which we will definitely come on to in a little while, so stay tuned for that one, guys. Love the way this hedge sprawls out. The wild privet there at the base just kind of encroaching a little bit, which is really nice. We've got hazel in there, dog rose, hawthorn. Really nice block of hedging. I'm not going to try and get behind there, but there is a pathway right the way through there that the clients created behind the stone wall at the front, which is lovely from the road, which you can get right the way from the gates there, the gates on the entrance to the drive, right the way around the back, along here and round and up behind. They've put that door up yesterday, the clients. I think that's quite cool. That was out of a church apparently. She first put it up and I thought, do you know what, I've not seen that door there before, and realised it's a tapestry. Anyway, then we have this magnificent lime tree in the corner of the garden, which is obviously a great homing beacon, if you like, for birds to come in on. To have some height in a garden is very good because it enables you to attract birds in as a landing post, if you like, before they come down into the garden. So yeah, here's this wildlife pond again from a different angle. Very nice, nice lily. There's some newts in the middle, which are going to be hard to see, but trust me, they're there. I was watching them earlier today. And there's that pear tree again from this side. And the apple tree behind that, which has a bird box there, which is currently, we'll go and have a look at shortly, absolutely squeaking with chicks, which is very nice. This area we'll come on to in a second. Down here we've got lovely, lovely amount of speedwell, Veronica. I'm not sure which one this is, but I found some of these growing in my front garden. Absolutely love it. Just pops up everywhere, this stuff. Has the most insane little flower. I mean, it really is like, I just think they're like little spaceships or something. They're quite beautiful. They really are. So yeah, love Veronica. Oh, and here we've got some now tufted vetch flowering. Tufted vetch, very good for bees. It's just starting to flower. Now this one, I forget it every single year, and no doubt I'll have looked it up by the time I get to the video and put it in, guys. But I mean, the intense blue that this produces, it's electric. Almost more so than the forget-me-nots. I mean, look at that. Just wow. And when you get down, it's just like this haze of blue clouds. Love it. I love this area. This is like kind of a shady woodland area. So the ferns obviously looking fabulous. We've got some, what looks like hart's tongue fern down there, yeah. And this looks like a dicentra. Bleeding heart season known as. No need to explain why. Usually is sort of a red colour, reddy pink colour. This Solomon seal, look, absolutely beautiful. Another good, really good plant for shade. And holly, if I look right, we've got a holly that's in flower now. There are a few holly blues around the garden at the moment, and they will be laying on the holly flowers. Holly, a very good shrub for a shady spot. So let me come up to the top, not going out that door, and show you a pan of this garden. So you can see the house over there on the left where we were, the driveway, formal area. In a moment I'm going to take you over to that part of the garden, which is the sort of kitchen / growing area. And we've got that magnificent apple tree with the ash tree, which is still part of this garden, believe it or not, over there. Because over there, guys, is my favourite part of the garden, which we will come on to, I promise you. So yeah, nice view from up here. Gives you a really good overview of the garden. This was traditionally a sunken part of this village, and I forget why now. I'm sure I remember reading about it, but yeah, very interesting how the whole garden just dips down to this point. So obviously perfect spot for a pond. It'll be a big water catchment. So yeah, right. Well, let's carry on this way and then we'll head back up to the kitchen garden. But I just love these big slabs of stone. God knows how these were shifted into place by hand, but they were. Create these fabulous steps. And here we have then kind of a mini woodland copse, which I really love. Which there's some silver birch there. The client's just planted 1, 2, 3 more here. And there's another holly tree there. Somebody going out for a horse ride. Don't blame them in this weather. 21 degrees today, warmest day of the year so far, and we are almost at the end of May, so a fabulous time of year. Got the start of the RHS Chelsea Flower Show this week. If any of you have been watching that. I actually haven't because I've been working, but some of you enjoy that sort of thing. It's a bit too political for me half the time, but yeah, I appreciate where they're going with it. There's a lot more wildflower-based gardens in Chelsea these days, which is great. All raising awareness of the importance of having longer areas. In here we have a lovely patch of comfrey, which is actually very good, next to some compost bins. Comfrey is a really good plant for bees. These lovely kind of bells. Comes in different colours actually. You can get it in more, I've seen more purple comfrey, more sort of blues and whites like this one. Really lovely plant, and obviously doesn't mind a bit of shade. So a great plant, comfrey. We've got obviously 1 year's Christmas tree that's been planted, a nice yew tree there. And then we come on to this, which is what I'm creating at the moment, which is going to be a stream down this side of the garden. So I've got a top pond up there, mini pond, into a sort of a smaller, slow-flowing sort of little pool, if you like, and then cascading down into what will be these rocks. I've just given the turf some air to breathe for the next few days, but yeah, this is going to be a waterfall, if you like, a mini waterfall slash stream that then goes under this gorgeous big stone slab and down into a cobbly stream down the bottom, which I'm very much looking forward to finishing in the next few days, hopefully. And actually, this mown area here is defined very much by this mown edge, which has been worked out, marked out, and it's a lovely way of defining an area, and it's quite nice. I mean, mown grass, there is something to be said for some areas of mown grass for relaxation, for just enjoying your garden, and for birds such as starlings, for example, which do actually use these areas for trying to get leather jackets, the grubs of the daddy longlegs insects that you might see flying around at this time of year. And I have just done a little bit of a starling rescue, guys, which if you haven't seen already on the channel, have a look at. Rescued a starling from a drain pipe, which was quite interesting. I can't say I've done that before. Anyway, in a moment we're going to go up that way, and I'm going to show you my favourite feature of this entire garden. But I just wanted to show you guys this bit. There's not much point going down there, so I've got the digger blocking the way a little bit there. But again, note the hedgerows all along these boundaries, and trees and shrubs to give some height. I know this garden has the luxury of space, and there kicks in that fan again, so that's cue for us to leave. It's just a bit noisy. I know this garden has the beauty of space, but if you can frame a garden like this, it makes all the difference for attracting the wildlife. Natural boundaries, hedgerows with some trees as well. Anyway, onwards and upwards, let's go and have a look at that part of the garden. So if we go back out the way we came, that's that nice little kind of in-between area between border and meadow, which I really like, especially in this light. So we're going to turn right now, past the skip, and head left into the more practical side of the garden, if you like. So we've got some kale here, which I'm not about to eat, but is obviously edible. Lovely clump of rhubarb in this bed. Some more red campion flower in there. And if I turn this way, we've got a fruit cage, which they look to be black currants or red currants. I'm sure the blackbirds will get a few of those when they poke out the sides. And we've got a bit of a veggie area, looks like some leeks or onions. There's all sorts in there, beans, another lemon balm over there. This lovely little bed of chives here. Chives, again, part of the allium family, so again very attractive to bees, of which there's a common carder bee, if you saw that. I promise you. Then we've got some raspberries at the back, which are great. I don't know whether they're summer or autumn flowering raspberries. Some artichoke there. Artichoke flowers are just magnificent if you ever see them. They're like these magical purple beauties. Absolutely massive as well. These obviously old cloches. And let's take a wander through this gate here into the back of this garden, which is part of the property, but it's like part of a rental, if you like. So I'm not going to look too much into this garden, but a nice little formal space. As you can see, so, and while we're here, we might as well have a look at over the fence back to where we were. This lovely little courtyard here. Again, a few more edibles. We've got thyme down there. There's some lavenders, some herbs. Lovely little area this is. And then we've got this gorgeous little greenhouse. I wouldn't mind one like that. A few cloches down there, cold frames. So this is kind of like the practical side of the garden. Some wallflowers down there, which are about going over now a little bit, but very nice. We've got a plum here. Looks like that could be Victoria plum. My absolute favourite plum in the whole world. And yeah, some nice borders over that size with what look to be, that's mostly oxeye daisy. So, and that's wild strawberry. If you're looking for a plant for shade, guys, wild strawberry. It absolutely doesn't mind it. So they are developing nicely. Oh, it's a shame I'm not here in another week or two. Because I would be here with a little punnet or lunchbox. And there's a bee. Honeybee on there. More of that blue alkanet. Does do well in shade, and these gorgeous aquilesias. A sea of them there. Nice Gelder rose there. Another another shrub that I put in my hedgerow mixes. Just in flower now. It's lovely, like a hydrangea flower almost. It starts like with the outside of the flower first, and then moves its way into the centre. A bit like foxgloves, the way they move up the stem with their flowers. So yes, this is a slightly more formal affair around here. So we'll go back now and take a look at my absolute favourite part of this garden and the most important message of this video, guys. So stick around, because I promise you this next bit is worth all the stuff you've just had to sit through. I don't think it's bad walking around other people's gardens, especially when you can do it from the comfort of your own home. So yes, nice little veggie utility area. Some nice compost bins on the right. Mini slow worms. No. Oh, it's just too tempting, isn't it? I can't not look under that. Nope, nothing under there. Compost bins obviously a really good refuge, depending on where you are in the world, for grass snakes, slow worms. So, by the way, here's some more of the stone. It's just a surplus of what was found on site. Derbyshire, very, very stony county, and all of that is going to make the wildlife ponds and the stream on the other side of the garden. So wish me and my back luck for next week, because I've got to wheelbarrow that all the way over to that side of the garden. So let's have a look now at my favourite part of this whole garden. So if you're still with me at this point, I told you it'd be worth it. Now, this is my favourite part of the garden, because as you can see, guys, if I didn't do anything else but show you 10 seconds of this, I'm sure you would have been glad you clicked on that little thumbnail when it came onto your screen. But just look at the absolute beauty that is in here. Now, I'm going to take you for a wander through this wildflower meadow, which is just 100% what I want to achieve in my own garden in time when I get a bigger garden, but B, there's a lot of messaging here that I'm trying to shout about at the moment in some of my previous videos for those of you that have been following the channel for a while. And at this point, I should say as well, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell, and you will get notified every time I post a video, which is on a Wednesday and a Sunday at 6 PM. So that to one side, I promise you, you'll have more content like this. So let's take a wander through this meadow. Now, a little bit of a history. This meadow is many, many years old. You can see that gorgeous ash tree in the corner over there. And this apparently, with the previous occupiers, was mown. The whole thing was just mown, which isn't unbelievable by any means. But this was all mown, and so this has been like this for many, many years with the current clients, or the current occupiers, shall we say, the clients that I'm working for at the moment. And it's absolutely teeming with life and wildflowers and plants, and it's just incredible. So let's go and have a look at some of the magical species within this meadow. Now, if I start at the front here, again, this cow parsley, a fabulously architectural plant, loved by hoverflies and flies in particular, and just adds another dimension to a meadow, especially when it's kind of sparsely planted like this. Now, I should say, guys, as well, that obviously for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, you'll know I will be screaming about, or have been screaming about, the no-mow summer concept. We are towards the end of May now, and my big worry is that with the whole hashtag no-mow May that we've got here in the UK, meadows and areas like this are just going to become obliterated by the time we get into June. So I cannot stress the importance enough of leaving these areas until later on in the year, and even then leaving some areas as a mosaic of habitats, because there's so much life that will depend on this right now, while it's had the entire month of May to make its home here. And don't worry, this meadow isn't cut until a lot later in the year, so there's no fears of that happening here. But I just thought I would try and push that message again, guys, so that I can try and encourage a few of you to have this. And you can achieve it by simply just mowing pathways. Now, this pathway is around about 3 foot wide. It doesn't have to be this wide, it narrows up in a little while. And actually, you'll see that by doing this, it looks purposeful, or I hope you'll see, it looks purposeful. It looks like it's meant to be, but just look at that now. What is more inviting than seeing a mown path? like that through a meadow. I am absolutely green with envy, I'm not going to lie. So I did say I'd explain a few more of the plants in here, so let's get down and have a look at some of them in this nice little block in front of me here. So the yellows are obviously buttercups. There's a mix here of meadow and bulbous buttercups. We have the beautiful little common daisies, as you can see down there, which are all through this meadow. And then we have things like this lesser knapweed, which again is going to be flowering in June and into July. There were dandelions here, you can see evidence of, they've gone over now, but that's fine. We've got some sorrel, which is just about coming into flower. You can see sorrel, a larval food plant for the small copper butterfly. We've got wild carrot in here, we've got shepherd's purse, which gets its name from the seed pods, which you can see here. Are apparently shaped like a shepherd's purse. For those of you out there that are shepherds that are watching this, please let me know if you have a purse of this shape these days, or whether it is just an old tale. Oh yes, and then one of the things that I wanted to show you guys, which is the quintessential element within any wildflower meadow, is this. It looks a bit like a parrot, but is in fact yellow rattle. And yellow rattle is a semi-parasitic plant that parasitizes a lot of other grasses and some plants as well, not just grasses, and it basically weakens the grasses and plants so that it allows, it's an annual, so it kind of moves through a meadow over the years, and it allows other plants to kind of seed and germinate in its wake. So it's kind of like the meadow maker's friend, if you like. So it's a really good plant. Not only that, and we've got things in here such as was it hawksbeard? There was some hawksbeard in here somewhere. We've got a meadow cranesbill there. That's going to be a lovely sort of bluey coloured geranium in time. I'm going to take you up round this way, and then we'll do a lap round the other way. This is the hawksbeard, which is almost ready for flowering. Looks a bit like ragwort, but a cross between ragwort and a dandelion, but it's not. Then we've got this beautiful walnut tree at the bottom of the garden, which is a nice height now. That's been there a few years. What else have we got in here? We've got oxeye daisies, we've got red clover, we've got some common vetch, which you might be able to just make out of these little pink flowers there. More alliums, these are just cropped up here. There's the common vetch. Common vetch is an annual, and the tufted vetch that we saw on the other side of the garden a little while ago is a perennial. So, and it's a bit deeper in colour, a bit more of a deeper purple, a bit like these alliums, but the common vetch is quite pale in colour, quite sort of pale pink. Oh, I must show you this little area in here while we're in here, because this is a really nice boggy garden slash pond that's just lush at the moment. I mean, look at that. We've got bog bean all growing through the middle of there, we've got watermint, marsh marigold still flowering because it's quite a shady spot. This almost dries out in the summer. In fact, I think it does even dry out. What a lovely little boggy garden this is, full of frogs. Hardly any open water for dragonflies, so not too great for them, but a really good habitat for frogs and newts. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys that while I was at this part of the garden. We've got a little hedgehog house down there. Apparently they do get hedgehogs. And a nice block of native shrubs along that back part of the garden. So we've got some willow on the left there. We've got field maple, hazel, what looks to be some pyracantha possibly towards the end. Can't quite see from here. Anyway, let's move on out of here and go back into this luxurious meadow. That's the shot, isn't it? I mean, that's the shot you guys have all been waiting for. So I'll just stand here for a couple of hours and you can, you can just enjoy that. So I'm going to take you on a loop. We're going to go down through this pathway, around over to that side of the garden, and back up along that side to finish off the tour. So here, underneath this kind of shade of this magnificent ash tree, I mean, that thing is 4.5 feet across at the bottom, maybe even 5 feet. I mean, that's just monstrous. What a glorious tree. Ash tree is one of the best trees for hole nesting birds in the wider countryside. Little owls, barn owls, tawny owls, green woodpeckers, jackdaws, stock doves. A whole host of birds will use them. And look at this hawthorn at the moment, guys. I can't not show you this. Absolutely divine. Ours is just going over down in Essex now, so these are a little bit behind, but hang on. Yep, it smells fabulous. Just had to give it the old sniff test. So, a really nice plant, hawthorn, really nice shrub. Obviously, they will all turn into berries if they've been pollinated. And then we've got a lovely big block of holly next to that, which is really nice to see. Holly, fantastic shrub and tree, just so underrated and so underused if you ask me. So yeah, look at this absolute frothy whiteness of cow parsley through here. Absolutely thriving under the, at times, shade of this majestic ash tree. Look at that meadow. I mean, I could stand here all day, guys, and do this, especially if you get down and you look across like that. The amount of insects that have been through here over the last few days while I've been working, A, it's very distracting, and B, it's very refreshing to see. Even got a little swing there, but I don't go on that, and I don't want to trample all the wildflowers. Get into it. So yes, a very, very lovely wildflower meadow, and one that will no doubt keep changing as we go through the seasons, especially as we get into high summer. We'll get a lot more plants like the knapweed coming into flower, the meadow cranesbill, oxeye daisies, and down here we have some of the first little red clover flowers, which is rather nice to see. Red clover, a very, very good plant for bees. And you can see, I mean, this, I was just going back to the point I was making about the yellow rattle. I was just a moment ago looking for some oxeye daisies to show you, and you know, that's about to flower, and that is a foot high, all because through here has been the yellow rattle. And we also have lots of my favourite wildflower back here. No, that's black medic. That's not bird's foot trefoil, which I was going to show you, but there is some bird's foot trefoil in here. A little bit of pignut as well in the middle there. Pignut, a larval food plant of the chimney sweeper moth. But these paths, and I go back to the no-mow summer concept again, guys, you know, these are absolutely vital for making an area look kept, making it look maintained and purposeful. And I'm sorry, but I can't go any further without showing you some of these meadow cranesbill, which are now in flower, which are the first ones I've actually seen now. Aren't they just gorgeous? Our traditional cranesbill or geranium, where no doubt we've taken to produce so many cultivars now. Geranium's a massive, massive family. I'll take you down this way. So I hope you guys are enjoying this tour, guys. I mean, let me know your thoughts, obviously. Here's another Gelder rose. See those flowers just starting on the outside first. Lovely shrub Guelderose, fabulous like red currants in the autumn for birds. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this garden tour. I know it's not one of my usual videos. I know a lot of you have been asking about me doing more garden tours of my own place, which I'm trying to do. So yeah, that's where the top of the pond is starting for the stream, so I won't go down there, but if I turn around now, you can see this lovely hedgerow along the right hand side of the garden. There's been a lot of orange tips along there. There's some garlic mustard in there, the larval food plant. But that view back up there is just something else, is it not? With the ash tree in the background on a blue sky day like today. Oh, and the blue tit, which is about to go into that box over there. If you saw that, box is just there. If you watch that, I'm sure it'll fly out. There we go. So yes, squawking of chicks in there at the moment. But yeah, I mean this whole concept of the No Mow May, guys, is just, it's great, but I think, why would you ever want to run a mower through that in about 6 days time? It's just incredible, and the amount of insects that are in here right now is unbelievable. It really is. And that goes off up there. This area is managed slightly differently. It's managed a little bit later, and probably because of the vegetation that then possibly folds over if it's cut back in October or November, it adds a little bit of fertility, so hence this bit is taller than the rest. So there's a lot of knapweed. Knapweed does well in fertile ground and in sort of shady conditions. So a lot of knapweed in here, which I wish I could see in about another 2 weeks' time. Sadly, I think I'll be finished by then. Well, I hope I'll be finished by then. I've got to be elsewhere. I've got one more little thing to show you, which is one of the stars of the show. Has been throughout the month of May for me this year. It's been a really good year for them. Look at that blaze of yellow now as you get around here, and the whites of these daisies, just fabulous. Oh, there's a little, and then it said lumpery then, stumpery or log pile in here, which the client just adds to year on year, and there's loads of stuff growing in there. You've got some Meadow cranesbill, you've got red campion again, really good for shade. You've got a sort of rose that's rambling over it, ferns, just a really lovely spot, and no doubt wrens, blackbirds, robins, dunnocks, all sorts of birds will be using there to have their nest in. And speaking of nests, there's actually a nest, there's a robin nest on the ledge underneath that little lean-to over there. Both robins have been going in and out, and the last couple of days I've actually seen the first of the fledglings of that nest, which is really nice. So the last thing I want to show you guys, pretty much, is this red campion. It's just kind of going over now. You can see the seed pods are starting to develop, but there's still plenty of flowers left on there for the insects. Red campion, just one of my favourite spring plants. That pink is so intense, it really is. The only thing to really rival that is ragged robin in terms of a native wildflower, but that's not quite got the intensity in the flowers because it's so raggedy, funnily enough. So a really nice plant. So, what do you think, guys? I wouldn't mind this, would you? What a beautiful garden. What an absolute privilege to have been able to work here at this time of year over the last few days, and a few more days left yet. And I really, really hope you guys have enjoyed this tour. You've enjoyed seeing some of the plants that have been on offer, and you've enjoyed exploring this garden with me, which is a true delight. And I mean, if you can only imagine the potential we have if we all did a little bit of this for encouraging insects back into our green spaces, because nowadays our gardens are absolutely sanctuaries for so much wildlife. and I genuinely believe they are the best way we're going to encourage wildlife in the future, unless we change the way we manage our wider landscapes in terms of our agricultural practices. So if this garden doesn't inspire you to do that, just mow a path and let your grass grow. Obviously, if you're looking for any plants, any wildflowers, any pond liners, anything like that, guys, to help wildlife, check out thewildyourgarden.com online shop. We've got seeds available as well, and drop us a line. And obviously, if you're looking for any installations in terms of habitats, whether that's ponds, meadows, wildlife gardens in general, including formal features, planting plans, then I do go increasingly worldwide, it seems, creating habitats for wildlife. So do get in touch via the YouTube channel or inquiries at hazelwoodlandscapes.com. But thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I really hope it's inspired you to go out there and have a go. You don't have to have an area this big. My front garden is 20 square meters, so check that out if you haven't seen it. Lots of videos on the channel, and of course many more videos coming up for you guys in terms of how you can help wildlife in your own garden. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all very inspired, and I will see you all very soon.